Let me tell you about one of the most disturbing 911 calls ever recorded. In 2013, a man phoned emergency services late at night. He was out of breath, terrified, and kept saying that people were chasing him. A few minutes later, the call cut out. Police found his truck, but they never found him. His name was Brandon Lawson. Brandon was 26 years old. He lived in Texas, he was a dad, and according to his family, he was genuinely trying to turn his life around. He'd had problems in the past, mainly with drugs, but people close to him said he'd been doing better. He was working, trying to stay stable, and focusing on his kids. Nobody expected that the night he left his house would be the last time anyone ever saw him. On August the 8th, 2013, Brandon got into an argument with his girlfriend. Not long after midnight, he left the house and started driving. He was heading down a dark stretch of highway near Bronte, Texas. There's barely any lighting out there, just open land, oil fields, and long empty roads. At some point, Brandon's truck ran out of gas. He pulled over on the side of the highway. And not long after that, he made a call to 911. From the moment the dispatcher answered, something felt off. Brandon sounded panicked. He was breathing heavily. At times, he was almost whispering. He told the dispatcher that people were chasing him, that he'd run into them. At one point, he said something that confused a lot of people later. He mentioned the Mexicans. Some believe he meant actual people. Others believe he was hallucinating or misinterpreting what he was seeing in the dark. The dispatcher kept trying to calm him down, asking where he was, but Brandon couldn't explain his location properly. Then he said something that still gives people chills. He said, "I'm right here." "They're right here." And then the line went dead. Officers were sent immediately. When they arrived, Brandon's truck was still sitting on the side of the road. The hazard lights were on. Inside the vehicle were his wallet, his keys, and his personal belongings. There were no signs of a struggle, no damage, no blood, and no Brandon. It was like he had stepped out of his truck and vanished into the darkness. Search teams were brought in almost straight away. Police, volunteers, and tracking dogs searched the surrounding land. The dogs picked up Brandon's scent and followed it away from the road. But then it just stopped. No trail, no direction, nothing. The area itself is dangerous. Thick brush, uneven ground, creeks, oil field equipment. But even with repeated searches, nothing belonging to Brandon was ever found. There are a few theories. The most common one is that Brandon was experiencing drug-induced paranoia, that he genuinely believed people were chasing him, even if nobody actually was. In that state, he may have run into the darkness, become disoriented, and died from exposure. But there's a problem. If that's what happened, why hasn't his body ever been found? The area was searched again and again. Years passed. Still nothing. And that's what keeps this case alive. When you listen to that call, one thing is clear. Brandon truly believed he was in danger. Whether the threat was real or only in his mind, we'll probably never know. And somewhere in the dark Texas landscape, the answer may still be out there. After hearing this story, what do you think really happened to Brandon Lawson? Do you think he was being chased? Or do you think something else was going on that night? Let me know your theory in the comments. And if you want more real cases like this, subscribe. Because some stories shouldn't disappear.